Have you ever done this? You sit down, you're ready to study, you're full of amazing intentions, and then you look up, an hour has gone by, and all you've really done is scrolled through your phone. Yeah, if that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. So that's what we're going to dig into today. Why our digital devices make it so hard to focus, and, what the science actually says we can do about it. I mean, it's the big question, isn't it? That constant little pull, that little itch in the back of your brain to just check your phone for a second. It's honestly one of the single biggest challenges for anyone trying to learn something new, especially when you've got a deadline creeping up on you. But listen, here is the most important thing I want you to get right from the very start. This is not a personal failure. It is not about you lacking willpower. The technology we carry around with us every single day is literally engineered to grab our attention and not let go. So let's stop blaming ourselves and start to understand the system we're actually up against. All right, first up, let's talk about what all those little pings and buzzes are actually doing to our brains. And spoiler alert, it goes way deeper than just losing a few minutes of your time. Okay, think about it like this. Every single time you glance at a notification, your brain gets pulled out of whatever it was focused on. Psychologists have a term for this. It's called attention residue, which is basically the leftover thoughts from that last thing you looked at. And getting back on track, rebuilding that focus after every little interruption, it takes up so much precious mental energy. It's why you can feel totally wiped out at the end of the day, even if you feel like you haven't gotten much done. So, what is actually happening inside our heads when we're trying to study, but also checking our phones? Let's dive into the science of it, because what cognitive psychology tells us about our brain's ability to focus, well, it's pretty eye-opening. Here's the most important concept you need to grasp. Your attention is not an endless resource. It's finite. It's kind of like your phone's battery. And constantly jumping between your textbook, your email, and your social media feed is one of the fastest ways to drain that battery down to zero, leaving you with absolutely no power left for the deep thinking that real learning demands. And this brings us to what might be the biggest lie we tell ourselves in the modern era: multitasking. We all like to think we're great at it, but the science is crystal clear. The human brain cannot truly focus on two things at once. What we call multitasking is really just task switching, and we're just doing it really, really fast. And it comes at a huge cost. We end up doing each task more poorly, and get this, we actually hurt our ability to concentrate over the long term. And this right here is what that looks like in the real world. On the left, you've got a brain in a state of focused study. That's where deep learning happens, where you actually remember things. But on the right, you've got the brain that's constantly being interrupted. That leads to shallow learning, where you forget stuff almost immediately and just end up feeling totally drained. The difference is just, it's night and day. So if all this task switching is so bad for us, why does it feel so compelling? What makes that phone so darn irresistible? Well, the answer is hardwired deep inside our brains in a little thing called the reward system. Yeah, it all comes down to this super powerful brain chemical called dopamine. Every time you get a like, a new message, or even just see some new, interesting content, your brain gets a tiny little hit of this pleasure chemical. It's a small reward, sure, but it feels good, and it makes your brain immediately go, "Ooh, I want more of that." And this creates this incredibly powerful and mostly subconscious habit loop. It all starts with a simple cue, right? Your phone buzzes. That immediately triggers a craving for that little dopamine reward. Your response is to check the phone, and when you do, boom, you get that tiny chemical reward, which just reinforces the whole cycle. This is the engine that drives that constant, nagging urge to check your phone. Okay, that's the problem. It sounds a little bleak, I know, but it is not all doom and gloom. Now we get to the empowering part, how we can actually take back control of our attention, and the science gives us really clear strategies to do it. The best part? It's not about trying to have more willpower, it's about being smarter and changing our environment. So here are some of the most effective science-backed techniques you can use. For example, just putting your phone in another room is an absolute game changer. Why? Because it completely eliminates the cue from that habit loop we just talked about. Turning off notifications you don't really need does the same thing. It puts you back in control. All of these strategies are really about one thing: creating a space where focus is the easy choice, not a constant battle. And this right here is the single most important idea to take away from all the research. It's a total shift in thinking. Stop trying to fight your phone with sheer mental force. It's a losing battle. Instead, start thinking of yourself as an architect of your own focus. Your job is to design an environment that makes concentration the path of least resistance. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. When you look at your own life, your own study habits, what's the one distraction that gets you every time? And more importantly, what's the first simple change you can make, maybe even starting today, to design it out of your environment? Thanks so much for joining me for this one.